It was my inquest to ascertain what really happened that I was informed by someone that my husband has a wife and 2 kids. That my cause landed him in trouble. That the wife lady got to know about me and put him out.
Greetings from the house of Mima. Thank you for joining us today. It's another fantastic edition of Lifelines with Mima. Today, we are treating the topic of long-distance marriages. As you know, many of our young men from here travel out of the country and marry foreigners for the sake of papers, for the sake of making money, and then they still come back home to marry African wives and try and see how they sustain 2 families at a time. With me now, I have 2 young women that are living that life and are here to share their experiences with us. Welcome, Mrs. Miracle.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome, Mrs. Joan. Thank you both for coming. Okay, let's get straight to it.
Well, in all sincerity, I have no reason to be angry. I have almost everything I want or need. And my husband visits often.
Oh, I see. So how long do you intend to keep this and sustain this on and off marriage?
I would say it wouldn't be long because he told me everything before we got married. So I actually knew what I was getting myself into.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
By everything, what do you mean? What did he tell you?
Okay, he told me he had to marry a white lady. So that way he'll be free to move around and do whatever he wants abroad. You know, the coverage, he needs it, yes. Although he said the woman is old, but he had to do it, you know. So with that in mind, I don't really have much to fear.
Okay. Madam Joan, how about you? What has it been like for you?
My sister, I'm directly heading to hellfire, all in the name of marriage.
I'm sorry.
My husband never told me he has a wife abroad.
Wow.
He married me properly. This is 3 years of our marriage since he traveled. But we lost communication since then.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That's so sad. Please tell me, what efforts have you made to regain communication with him?
My dear, it was my inquest to ascertain what really happened that I was informed by someone that my husband has a wife and 2 kids. That my cause landed him in trouble. That the wife lady got to know about me and put him out.
So, because the white lady found out he had a Nigerian wife, she pushed him out.
Yes.
And now he doesn't have the papers to come home. Wow, that's so sad.
He has lost all the coverage with the white lady and he can't come home.
Wow. That's sad. I'm so sorry to hear this. I'm sorry. Oh, please take it easy.
I don't know what to do again.
Please take it easy. I'm sorry. Sorry you had to go through this. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Miracle, could you tell us, would you advise any young lady out there to do the same thing, to marry in this way?
No.
Really? Tell us why.
No, not at all. The road is tough. It takes the brave and the determined to walk on it. Imagine knowing your husband is out there with another woman and you're here, confined in the situation of waiting and hoping that he comes back someday to you. You're just like a married spinster.
Wow. That can't be easy. It can't be. It can't be. How about you? Would you advise anyone to marry in this way?
Never. Never will I allow someone to do that. As is even better, she knows. He got married to me. He got me pregnant and left without return.
So sorry.
It's not advisable at all. It is not.
I know.
Look at someone like me. I am caged. I am caged. I can marry. I can't even go near a man without his permission. Our tradition is very, very strong.
It's not easy.
I'm so sorry. So your tradition doesn't permit you or
It
allow
doesn't.
you have sexual intercourse with another man outside marriage.
Marriage, yeah.
So you cannot do anything until this marriage is dissolved.
Of course, yes.
Wow, it's unfortunate. I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
There you have it. Let us know that not everything that glitters is gold. And let us also be careful when we take decisions because they have far-reaching consequences on our tomorrow. Sometimes, not even just sometimes, most of the time, money should not be your driving force because money cannot buy you happiness and money is not everything. There's more after this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Lifelines with Mima, and we're discussing the issue of our young men that travel abroad and have wives there for the sake of their papers and come back home to still marry African wives, believing that the marriage to a foreigner is just on the basis of getting their papers, but their real marriage is the one that happens back home. And so we had two clients that came with two different perspectives on this matter. And I thought it's wise, after discussing with them and our discussants, I would like you to meet David Ashaolu. He is a top-notch Abuja-based lawyer, doing very well for himself. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
How have you been?
Very fine, thank you.
How's everything with you?
I'm not doing badly, and it's a very good show you guys have up with running here.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And so we had two young women come in, and their issue was, one of them was saying that she married a man without knowing that he already was married to a white woman abroad. He came home and married her almost like everything was normal. Now she's having issues because the white woman has found out about the marriage and halted the process of him getting his papers, which has angered him against her. He's not been communicating with her, and she's come in tears to look for solutions. What can she do? Even to get him, to reach him. Who does she go to? Does she get redress anyway? Or how do we treat her matter?
So it depends on a number of factors.
Okay.
One, the country where the young man lives or resides has a major role to play in this. There's a principle of reciprocity, which says two countries, Nigeria and say United States, agree to give the same treatment to the same issues. So in this context, a marriage that is valid in Nigeria will be regarded as a valid marriage in the United States. So if that is the case, and the young man was prior married in the United States, for instance, then his marriage in Nigeria to this young lady is null and void.
Wow.
Because you cannot be married twice.
Wow. So it even means officially she is not married to him. Technically, they are not married.
That's correct.
Wow.
There's a caveat though. We also have to decide or determine the kind of marriage they had here in Nigeria. Was it a marriage at the registry or was it just some traditional marriage? So if it's a marriage at the registry, then null and void. But if it's a traditional marriage, then the Marriage Act does not have a jurisdiction in that matter. So we have to then consider other factors. Native law and custom of the parties, whether traditional, whether polyandry or polygyny as it were, is allowed in the customs. But generally, you cannot marry twice. So the second marriage, so let's just assume for the sake of this conversation that they had marriage at the registry. So the second marriage here is just a purported marriage. It is not a valid marriage. So what she would have to do is approach the court here, then get an order for the court to annul or void the marriage. Then she's a free person. Then she can go ahead and live her life.
So for the young man involved, does he get to just walk away from all of this? He's kept her for what, 4 or 5 years, stranded. What does he just get off like that?
What we need to understand is in Nigeria, it's a crime to marry twice. It's called bigamy. and the punishment according to the Marriage Act is 5 years. So it doesn't get away with it, but where is he?
Where is he?
Do you understand? If you can't catch a culprit, you can't put him in prison. You said she can't reach him.
Yeah.
So that makes it difficult.
Yeah, he's cut off communication. So is there no law that makes provisions for, okay, someone like this now, reporting maybe to Interpol or, you know, an agency abroad that can trace...
Before you can get international criminal justice involved, has to have been an international crime. So in this context, I don't see... If it had been that he went into a contract marriage with a lady abroad for the purpose of his papers, and the two of them knew fully well that they were doing it just to deceive the government, that's fraud. You can get Interpol involved in something like that, because that's a federal offense in the United States. But for Nigeria, bigamy is not an international crime that will require getting it. If fraud had been involved, you know, if he had taken her money, or, you know, if you are involved in wire fraud, international crimes, then, yeah, maybe Interpol would look at it. But then, just from what you've told me so far,
there's no basis.
I never tell my clients something can't be done, but I just tell them, you know, you don't want to go the route of frivolities. So this could be a frivolous case for Interpol to look at.
That's sad. Okay, so what advice would you give to some of these young women that end up marrying these guys that come from abroad?
There have been successful marriages with people that live abroad.
Okay.
I know a couple. Okay, so there are procedures. In fact, as a Nigerian, you can get study abroad. After your studies, apply to get an H-1B1 visa. Then when you get sponsored for the H-1B, because get H-1B1 visa simply means you are sponsored by your employer. That you're working with them and that they'll be responsible for you. 2 years thereabouts. So when you get your H-1B1 visa, you can file what is called the H-4 visa for your wife, who is in Nigeria. And then when your wife gets the visa, she can come join you in the United States. Now this is legally, yes. Yeah. Now this is US law. That's why I'm saying you don't have to then marry, because with an H-1B visa, you work, you can renew your H-1B visa, and then after a certain time, you can apply for permanent residency, and then you can even apply to become a citizen. So there are other routes to, you know, getting permanent residency and becoming an American citizen that you don't have to marry, necessarily have to marry a foreigner, yes.
Because a lot of our boys are paying a lot of money.
It's faster.
Just to marry.
And that's because it's faster. So you marry a foreigner and then immediately you get a permanent residency. And then you have 2 years to renew your permanent residency. So you must stay married for 2 years at least. So when you renew the permanent residency, I think the second renewal is for like about 10 years or thereabouts. So with the second permanent residency, within the 10 years, you can call off the relationship, then, you know, sort yourself out, and then bring your wife from Nigeria back to come meet you in the United States. So they do these things. Although, as I said earlier, contract marriage is a crime. It's a federal crime in the United States. So I advise guys, you know, that are looking for a path to citizenship in the United States, not to involve in contract marriage. It's a crime.
It's fraudulent.
It's fraudulent, yes it is.
Wow, thank you so much. We've learned a lot. Thank you
You're
for
welcome,
coming.
Mima.
We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
There you have it. We need to be careful, and we need to get good information and advice before we take critical steps that change our lives and the lives of those that we love.